Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Extra Time TV. This is Andrew Sokla, and we have someone with us who needs no introduction. Mr. Terry Fenwick. How are you today?
Andrew, it's great to be with you as usual, and it's always nice to speak to the guys out there who love their football. Pleased to be here.
All right, so Trinidad Tobago played Thailand recently.
Yes.
It was very difficult to see the match. I finally found a way to see it online. Unfortunately, I have an entire video about that. You could check that out. Why is it so difficult to see these games? It's beyond me. Maybe that's an entire topic we should do another day, Terry. But the game ended 1-0 to Thailand. Terry, what are your initial thoughts on the game?
Well, it's obviously a defeat on the road. It's a game against Thailand, in Thailand, which is obviously you're travelling and all of that. But I was disappointed in the result because of several things. The preparation was very poor. I think we've all had issues with the administration for so long, and it's not just the senior men's team, it's the women, it's the youth teams. There's been issues and problems at every level. So the result actually didn't come as a shock. Yeah. But my disappointment, if you like, is that we've got so many good young players out there, and quite frankly, the administration are not doing them justice.
Yep. I mean, there's so many problems. Before I even got into documenting the sheets for this game, the issue that Tula Guerra and Jovin Jones not making it to the game. From what it was reported on Wide 868, Tula Guerra, he had an issue with his work permit. Yeah. And Jovin Jones had a bit, ambiguous reason for not being there. Yeah. He said, he couldn't make it for personal reasons. From what I gathered is that I think Darmstad's trying to avoid relegation. But I think the timing of the omission was something, we haven't even got to the game yet, Terry, but what do you think about, players like that?
I just think this is all about planning ahead and having a structure within the organisation itself. And clearly there's not have that, because we've gone through several different age groups, different development levels, as well as the national teams at men and women's levels, that are continuously coming back to these same issues and problems that inevitably have a negative impact on the results that the national teams are having. And that in turn has a very negative impact on the public at large, who want to see a successful team out there playing against international teams around the world and doing well. And it's been abysmal over the last 2 years, to be quite frank.
Yep. There's so many things to speak about in the context of Trinidad Tobago football, which we will. So, look out for that, because that's an entire show by itself. Yes. But, let's just head into the context of the game and the 66th minute. And I don't want to, infuriate the Thailand people if I'm butchering this name. But Thitipan Puangchan. My apologies.
Yeah. Rather you than me on that one.
Tongue twister. So my apologies if I butchered that name. Scored in the 66th minute. Trinidad, possession was actually not that bad. I think it was pretty even. Yeah. But Trinidad actually created a couple chances in the first couple minutes. Thank God for the YouTube video that I saw. Yes. That I actually saw the game. And I'm going to keep saying that through the entire video. Yeah. What are your thoughts on the overall game itself? I mean, what do you think?
I saw the highlights the same as yourself, and yes, Trinidad and Tobago had 1 or 2 chances early in the game, but it looked like beyond the first 15-20 minutes of the game, it then very much went one-way traffic. I thought the possession of Thailand was okay, not great, and we rode a little bit of luck. And I just think the Dennis Lawrence way of playing, he's trying to play from the back, which is great if you've got the players that have got the ability to play from the back. I think we're putting too much emphasis and pressure on guys that are not comfortable on the ball, and I felt like we give the ball away unnecessarily too many occasions over the course of the game. And indeed, the goal that we conceded late in the game, yes it was, but the back four were all over the place, with 3 stepping up and Daniel Cyrus dropping off, playing everybody on side, and it was really a disappointing goal to give away and give the game up in that fashion.
I mean, you actually read my mind with the second question. I was going to ask about players fitting the system that he's trying to play. Yeah. And, sometimes, I look at Gareth Southgate for England, which I'm sure you do. I love what he did with England. I know that's an entire topic, the 3 Lions, where he adapted what the players he had. Because people love to, poke fun at England. But, this is a guy that was, people give him a lot of stick when he got the job.
Correct. And what people have not recognised is he's been in charge of a number of youth teams before this. So he's well familiar with all of them players that have now come through, like the Harry Kanes, terrific player. We see him as a world-class centre-forward today, but people are not recognising that Southgate has had these guys through different levels, development levels. What we in Trinidad and Tobago have got to look at is most of our better players are now playing overseas. How do we get round to see what sort of form they're in? Dennis Lawrence has come to the table with a type and style of football that he wants to play, and not necessarily that suits the players that we've got. And my God, I've been here 19 years in January. I've been here, Andrea. Yeah. Can't get rid of me that easy. Yeah. But I know the players that are out there, and our natural athleticism and speed are our strengths. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the intricate side of football is not where our strengths lie. We're not Central and South American, but we can be very physical and effective in that manner. And I just think we've come away and actually moved from all of the good things that Stephen Hart had put into the national level, the national side. I thought he instilled a lot of discipline. Sometimes we weren't pretty to watch, but that was generally against teams that are on paper much better than we are, Mexico's and USA. But he would scrape results. Yeah. He would be effective with his tactics. And I think under this new Dennis Lawrence style of football, we're trying to play a style of football that doesn't suit the kids that we've got. And inevitably that's showing in the results. The results have been very poor. We were bottom of the group, and we've had teams like Panama qualifying for World Cup in front of us. Yeah. Tells a story in itself.
Yeah, and the results don't lie. I mean, we have all these other issues that we're going to speak about as well for another time. Yeah. But even if you look at the stats, the possessions statistics are deceptive. It was 49% to us, 51%, which on paper looks okay. Yeah. But from looking at the game, I saw our chance creation was very minimal. Yes. We relied heavily on pace, and eventually, the Thailand team adapted. And basically, what I thought is that, as you said, there's an over-reliance on players doing things that they're not used to, because I saw oftentimes when they were trying to play out of the back, they would get into the final third and seem devoid of ideas. Yes. And the opposition team seemed perfectly fine passing around the box, and they clearly played to their strengths, which they were small, mobile, strong on the ball. And as you anticipated my question before I even asked, there's the CONCACAF Nations League, which a lot of people don't know about, plus the Gold Cup coming up next year. Yes. Do you think teams like Thailand and so on are the right sort of teams to help us prepare? I mean, based on everything else.
Listen, this is all a money-making project to get overseas and try and drag some dollars in. And I'm not arguing with that. The more important thing is what we're putting into the players, how we're organising our team structure, because within a team mechanism you've got several different areas that are teams within the team. Your back four, your midfield players, your front players, your right-sided fullback and right-sided midfield player. All around the team, you've got little partnerships that have got to be used to what their partners are doing, understand when the ball's in certain areas, what we're trying to achieve as a team. And you see, what I'm seeing here from this Dennis Lawrence side is we're trying to overplay in our area, which means we're sitting very deep in the field. Yeah. So oppositions are pressing right up to that halfway line and condensing the space, and they're actually intercepting, out-tackling, creating chances for themselves on our mistakes, and then they've got short distance to go to goal. Now and again, we've got to mix it up. Sometimes we've got to go long, get in behind them, turn them round, so we create our own space. If we're continually trying to play short, they will press in, and I don't think we've got the players equipped to keep the ball under severe pressure. Yeah. And then we will make mistakes and give up chances to the opposition, which I think the bulk of the chances that I saw in this game against Thailand came from Trinidad and Tobago giving it away in bad areas and them counter-attacking it over short space.
Because the turnover, when the actual goal was scored, it was the first of several turnovers. Correct. Where Sheldon Bateau lost the ball in midfield. Yes. And they simply passed their way into the goal. We were caught.
And then three were forcing it to press up, and you had Daniel Cyrus dropping up, which then creates lots of areas both sides for players to run in and not be offside. Yeah. That was the creation of the goal, which again tells me that they're not working on things defensively. They're not as a unit. The back four weren't together. They weren't sure whether to press the ball or drop off. And simple, basic principles of the game. If there's no pressure on the ball, you must drop off and kill that space in behind you. We are getting caught in between the two, where some players are still pressing, some players are dropping off. And that in itself is creating problems for the team.
Yep, that indecisiveness was clearly shown, because what you were saying there, where they were
for the
indecisive,
goal, it's blatant for the goal. Yes.
And they couldn't decide to drop back or press. And in the earlier stages of the first half, they were dropping deep and they were creating chances on top of the box. And I think with more lethal strikers, we would have gotten killed, because they got lots of chances. And it shows, that perfectly epitomizes what you were saying about the indecisiveness. And what it says to me is that Dennis Lawrence has been in charge since the qualifiers. We know the obstacles behind the scenes. There's too many to count.
Of course.
But moving forward, Thailand used a 4-3-3 system where they used one defensive midfielder and two midfielders in front of the guy, like an inverted diamond. And it seemed to be very effective against what Lawrence used, which was the 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, but again, Andrea, we're looking at players with different skill sets. And I think from that part of the world, what I've seen, and I've not seen a lot of it, to be quite frank, but I thought they had some very good players on the ball. They were very creative. Their first touch was excellent across the board. Their forward passing, their movement, and they're prepared. And this is modern day football today. When you look at the Manchester Cities or the Spain, Barcelona's, you've got more players in advance of the ball, more passing options, where defensive teams, and this was under Stephen Hart, we were very defensive. We win it, we give it back to the opposition. But we were playing types of football that demanded against the sides that we were playing. USA and Mexico, we would tighten it up and make it very defensive. Against other sides, he'd be a bit more attacking, let the game flow a little. And I think little Trinidad and Tobago has got to be along that level. If we think we can outplay everyone, we'll come up short quite regular. And I think that's where we are at the moment. We've got to recognise the opposition we're up against, recognise the qualities we've got, and put a structure of play in place that will get us a result. I mean, at the end of the day, success and failure is how you judge yourself. You've mentioned the stats earlier on. That's all important.
Yep, because another area, what you see with even successful national superpower teams, I mean, those things are changing right now, is that tactical flexibility.
Correct.
A lot of these teams are just, I mean, I follow Argentina, obviously. England goes without saying, Terry, but you see, like, for example, Gareth Southgate adjusted his tactics to benefit the players he had. People didn't like it, but it was effective. Trinidad and Tobago, are you saying right now that we are too tactically rigid with one system?
Well, can I give you an example? I think, you look at Manchester, England, and you've got on one side of Manchester, you've got Jose Mourinho, whose success throughout his career, he's took teams like Porto and Inter Milan to European success. Teams that should never have got there, but he's done that, being very defensive, very structured. Everybody's playing to instruction within his team. You've got the other side of Manchester with Pep Guardiola, who looks like, and now it's not, it looks like everybody's enjoying the game and just playing as they feel. That is also very structured, but it's much more positive. He's taken the risk of having 2 and 3 defenders at the back rather than 4 and 5, and he's allowing them extra bodies forward, particularly the wing backs, midfield players breaking forward, so you've got more passing options, your wingers coming inside, your full-backs overlapping. It's much more attractive, much more pleasing on the eye, and of course the fans are loving it. So you've got that clash across Manchester with the 2 best coaches possibly in the world.
And it shows that these coaches adapted to the players that they had.
Of course.
Pep made his adjustments, and what it says is that the average fan, this is where a fan and an actual coach, I guess there's a difference, because the coach, we would love to always see, when I say we fans, we love to see attacking football, but sometimes we don't understand what it takes, the ingredients needed, and this is where international football is, and club football to an extent, but international football is different. From what I've seen, where they have to sit, they say the players a couple days in the calendar year, and they have to assess, analyze, and come up with a system that works. And sometimes it's easy for fans like us, you all out there, myself included, to sit and criticize but the coach has to come up with solutions.
Correct.
So based on what you're seeing right now, do you think with the Gold Cup and also the CONCACAF Nations League, which I described in an article, check that out, what do you think Trinidad needs to do now, just for the final thoughts to do?
Several things. I think we've got to get the administration right.
Yep.
From right now, we've got to get behind the scenes. We've got to organise the players' visas. We've got to make sure their passports are in order. The things that should be simple and organised well in advance, so we're not having problems like we had with Guerra and Jovan Jones with the game in Thailand. We need to organise that off the field. We need to make sure the players are comfortable with the style of football we're playing. Yeah. Recognising, Andrea, that within 90 minutes now, teams need to change. If we score a goal, we might want to drop off. If we concede a goal, we might have to press the... There's got to be 2 to 3 ways of playing within inside of 90 minutes. Yeah. Players have got to be organised and comfortable with that change within the game. I'm not seeing that at the moment. I'm seeing the same, regardless of whether we're in front or behind. Yeah. I'm seeing the same tactical plays. I think we need to be a little more cute. We need to be brighter than we are within the 90 minutes, so we get better results throughout.
Yep. Game management is people throw around all the time. And Kevin and I speak about this all the time in other games, and it obviously applies in any team.
Yes.
And the inability to adjust is something that I have observed over the last couple of years, which Stephen Hart remedied. I saw that. I saw games where he would adjust certain things. He clearly had a plan, and it seems as if that is an area that we're lacking in, which you highlighted.
And that can only happen on the field of play, on the training ground. Yeah. Because, with Jablatir and Central FC, throughout the 90 minutes, we would change depending on how the game was running. Yeah. We'd sit deeper in the field when we were on top, so we had more space to break into. Early stages of the game, we might press in and try and make the opposition make mistakes so we could get simple, easy goals over short distances. So my players were prepared, we're changing to this, to that. They were ready for it because we put pictures in their mind from the training ground. That's what the national team have got to have at all levels, right across the board. We can't think that we're going into any tournaments these days and playing the same over 90 minutes and think that will suffice. The rest of the region, Andrea, have got top coaches that are putting good information into these kids, and we will always come second unless we match that.
And there's also a level of, when I saw some of the comments after the game, and this is from a general consensus of the mental process of Trinidad and Tobago, we used to be self-proclaimed, the dominant team in the region. Which was, I think a foolish thing to say, because based on recent results, everybody else is elevating their game. Okay, Terry, so, just give me your final thoughts on the game itself.
Well, I expect Trinidad and Tobago to beat Thailand, but it's all coming down to preparation. If it's wrong off the field, the player's not comfortable when they arrive there, preparation is not right, so you then don't get the results that you want, Andrea. That, for me, is unacceptable. That's something that we should be much better at. And we're playing in the modern game. Look how big soccer is today. We can't be falling down off the field and expecting our players to do well on it.
Yep, it's pretty crazy. I said this about 5 times in this video. There's so much things wrong in the mechanism that is Trinidad and Tobago football. Yes. There's a lot of things that need to be working, a lot of simple things that need to be fixed. I'm not trying to be harsh here, but there's only one way to say this. Things need to be fixed.
Absolutely.
It absolutely needs to be fixed. There's no question about it, and it's affecting the results at all levels. So, with that being said, a lot of you may not know this, and you should know, and I'll put a link in the description below. Terry Fenwick is in charge of the great football factory. Yes.
Football Factory.
So, Terry, tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing right now.
Well, listen, the Football Factory is a social programme. It's now been operational from CIC Grounds, Port of Spain, for 9 years. Yeah, wow. And we've done some great work. Over my career here in Trinidad, I've got 67 kids out on football scholarships. I've got 87 kids on professional contracts that have come through my development. Yep. And I clearly care. I do my utmost to give the kids the best they possibly can. I've recognised over the years that I've been here, 19 years in January, Andrea, I've been here, there's been no development on the ground. There's been no grassroots development for youngsters in Trinidad and Tobago. And even today we're listening to NLCB putting 8.5 million into grassroots football. I'm not seeing it. I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it. And that has really prompted me to go a step further. I'm now partnering with a company, an agency in England called Catalyst, that are predominantly their movements are between schools, colleges and universities in England. They're marrying them together with Premier League and Championship football clubs.
Yeah.
And this is to enable countries like Trinidad and Tobago to get kids out on football scholarships to the UK. So we will be embarking on this from 2019.
Yes.
At the end of this month, on the 30th of October, we've got 2 guys coming down. Neil Saxon is coming down from Catalyst. He will be going public with this, and I hope that you do an interview with him. It'd be nice to get it out there.
Yeah.
But we are serious about what we do. I love the kids that we work with. They deserve better. And this is us stepping it up and getting to the next level. We will be doing trials before the end of the year. Early into 2019, we'll be looking to select between 2 and 10 kids before August of next year to be selected for scholarships to go to England. Now that is major.
Yeah.
It's what nobody else is doing in the country. That is bought and paid for, so the kids haven't got to put anything out. Their families, once the kids are selected, they go to something that is absolutely game changing.
Well, Terry, where can we find you if people want to find information?
If you want to see what we're doing at Football Factory, get on to footballfactorytt.com. And we roll it out from there. And this is not just kids, this is a social development program. We've now got parents that when they drop their kids off, they're doing a keep fit session on the side of the field. So we're bringing communities together.
Yes.
We're doing everything that governments talk about, we're doing it. And we're doing it in a nice way. We get across to the kids. We've got great coaches, we've got good physio, we've got a good trainer. We're getting on with parents and we're having them engage on things that kids would not necessarily do.
Yep, because a lot of people in Trinidad and Tobago are used to broken promises, a lot of flashy adverts that usually don't deliver.
We're doing it.
They do. As you say, when I pay attention to your posts, you know, the rest keep talking.
Keep talking.
Yes, no, he does the walking. I've seen it myself. So with that being said, this is Andrew Soklal, joined by, I like to call him the Honorable Terry Fenwick. That's a nickname we give you.
Thank you.
All right, so you know, if you want to check us out, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on extvmedia.com. We have lots of blogs on various types of people, not just Kevin or myself. Nobody wants to hear us talk all the time. We have various people in the sporting industry, people like Shaka Hislop, maybe Terry sooner or later, giving their thoughts on what is happening in football and in other sports as well. Be sure to comment in the comment section below, because when you do that, you automatically qualify for a chance to win a copy of FIFA 19. I know you all love it. You'll probably try and play me. Good to see the kind folks of my store. So once again, this is Andrew Soklal, and keep watching. Thanks for watching. If you want to check out more, look at this video. And don't forget to click the subscribe button, because when you do, one of your enemies will be destroyed.